So we're going to talk about the uncomfortable truth that you are deeply asleep. I remember years ago, there was someone, I was in a seminar, and he would say, he had an accent, and he says, "You all are deeply asleep." I used to always like, this is like decades later, I remember him saying, "You're deeply asleep." And really, if you think about it, you look at people driving in their cars and nobody's there. Nobody's really there. They're driving their cars, but their minds are thousands of miles away or hundreds of miles away, or thinking about everything but driving. Yes, they are deeply asleep. And if you're not getting enough sleep at night, that should scare you. And it's like normal. It's normal. I don't get enough sleep. And I say that after more than 30 years of coaching lawyers, that I've watched intelligent and capable people walk around and work, and they are deeply asleep. And they're deeply asleep because they're fatigued, and fatigue and being sleepy has become a way of life. Somewhere along the line, fatigue and exhaustion had become a badge of honor. Running on fumes is evidence that you have commitment, and functioning without awareness, just going through the motions, pushing yourselves, that was where it's at. But that isn't really normal. And you are deeply asleep. So let me tell you a story. I had a client, and they would laugh at me and they'd say, "I must have ADHD because I can't focus more than a couple of minutes. I just get distracted. I'm doing this or that." She wasn't broken. She wasn't inattentive. She was a lawyer. She was a wife and a mother. And Lord, you women lawyers, you have it going on, because you work many times as hard as the men, but you have to cook and you have to do laundry and you have to watch the children and take the kids to the soccer. I want to say this too, because the younger men, I'm going to give you your applause and your acknowledgement, because dads are showing up. They're showing up on maternity leave. They're showing up for the kids. But if you're a lawyer, man or woman, you are running on fumes, especially if you have a family. And a lot of you even have aging parents, and you have a house, you have bills, you have law firms, you have clients, and you manage it all. And so how do you manage it? You do something that I call autopilot. You know this feeling, you drive home and you pull into your driveway, you get in your car, you turn the ignition and you drive, and you pull up in your driveway and you don't know how. Or, if you brush your teeth in the morning, you don't know, you don't even remember brushing your teeth. You know what I mean? That's autopilot. That's not forgetfulness. And autopilot is when your brain decides you don't have the energy to be present. So let's go into robot mode. So it conserves energy by doing the same thing over and over again without thinking literally about what you're doing. And too many lawyers are practicing law this way as well. And they're wondering how they get into situations, why there's papers piled up over there, while there's files, why oh my gosh, there's a deadline tomorrow. They're wondering why. It's because you're deeply asleep and you're on autopilot. And it's not because you don't care, it's because you're absolutely depleted, and it's become a way of life. Here's what people don't want to talk about. They don't want to talk about how your mind is drifting and how hard it is to focus. People laugh about that you don't have the attention span of a goldfish. And many times that's the case. You start doing something, you check your email, you check your device, talk, you drink water, get coffee, whatever you do, you cannot stay focused. And then when you get through the end of the day, because your mind has drifted, because you've made mistakes, you're in shock. And the problem isn't your intelligence, it's the awareness. Exhaustion doesn't make you stupid. It just makes you mentally unavailable. It makes you mentally checked out. So you're checked out, you're unavailable to really make a sound judgment, and you're really unavailable to yourself. Now I'm going to talk really about that. When you're unavailable to yourself, what does that mean? That means that you're working so hard and you're thirsty and you don't even know you're thirsty. And if you don't drink water regularly, your body shuts down and it doesn't even want water. So you're walking around and you're dehydrated. Your brain and your body is like 70-80% water, but you don't drink water, so you're dehydrated. So you're checked out. You're checked out to even think that you need to drink some water. Or you're checked out to see what kind of nutrition do you need. What do? You get some sugar or floury, soft, chewy, so that you can, instead of taking care of yourself and being present, you just waddle through, just go through the woods, like over the river and through the woods. You just pushing yourself, making yourself go. there's consequences. There's consequences to doing this, especially for lawyers. My cleaning lady was here the other day and she was telling me about one of her clients who had a relative, a 34-year-old attorney who took his life. Talented, young, 34, just starting his life, taking his life. I stop whenever this happens because it's so upsetting to me. I've been doing this for 30 years. I get so upset when I see and I hear that a person who is trained in law, probably because I want to make a difference, the only thing they come up to is I have to end my life. And it's 34 years old. I can't catch my breath. I can't get my head around it. And everybody stops. Oh my God. And attorneys know what happened. They know 1 out of 11 attorneys has had some sort of suicidal ideation. Anyway, this happened the other week and I was just devastated by it. So listen, if any part of you feels numb, if you're going through your day just going through the motions, that doesn't mean you chose the wrong career. It doesn't mean that you're incapable or you're incompatible. But what it does mean that you are overloaded. Your system is overloaded. Your nervous system is overloaded. And you are running on fumes. And you think that's normal. And this is just what it takes to practice law. You need support. Let's talk about waking up. Can you wake up? Wake up is still possible. But you have to become aware. Number one, you have to become aware. Am I on autopilot? And am I deeply asleep? Am I always sleepy? Am I always exhausted? Am I always not feeling it? You have to check in with yourself. And then you have to talk to someone you trust. It's like, I'm not saying I'm the person you talk to, but someone who's been around the block a few times and knows what you're going through. But get help early. Don't get to the point where you just feel like bleak and there's nowhere to turn. So if this conversation matters to you, I want you to stay connected here. Subscribe to our channel. And we have honest discussions about what really matters for you as an attorney. I do want you to ask yourself, am I tired all the time? Am I deeply asleep? Like walking in your sleep, really? Even though you're awake and you're doing things, you're so exhausted. Are you running on fumes and are you running on autopilot? That is not a way to live. It's not a way to practice law. And there's something you can do about it. Please subscribe to our channel and we will see you soon.